What is up, world? You are in tune to the Know It All podcast. You got your usual suspects here. I am rolling with my man, Big G. How you doing, man?
Man, what's cracking, man? We just got to get this Super Bowl prediction in, man. Talk a little bit about the Super Bowl and a couple other hot items going on right now with the NBA. So we're just gonna take a few minutes and get it in.
Yeah, man. Tate, how you doing, bruh?
What's up, Mark?
Yeah, man. We like to thank everybody, man, for rocking with us, and make sure that if you like the program, make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube and Twitch so that when we go live, you'll definitely get that notification and you'll be able to jump on with us, man. Hey, look here, man. I ain't even gonna start with the intro. I'll go out with the intro, but I just want to say this has been a wild and wacky NFL season. It really has, but I don't think I've seen so much hype around one player that I have, with Dak Prescott. Dak has got so much hate. We barely had an opportunity to talk about the Super Bowl, and Patty Mahomes has actually got the NFL's MVP this year, which I think is super great. And you got Jalen Hurts on the other side for the Philadelphia Eagles. You got two African-American quarterbacks. That's the first time that ever started. That's the first time that's ever happened where two has started at the same time for opposite teams. We got the Kelsey brothers. Definitely, that is a monumental thing. I'm excited about that. Somebody's happy and they're tooting their own home. Tate is dope. We won't, say who that is. We won't mention that. But listen, literally, this game, I don't know, man. I say all that to say, is there a lot of hype around this game, G? I mean, is everybody excited about this game? To you, are you even excited about this year's Super Bowl?
I think it's the best of times and the worst of times at the same time concerning the NFL. To have the homage of to be part of the Black experience and have two African American quarterbacks starting in the Super Bowl is something that I don't know if I was even going to see in my lifetime. But I think it's just time for us to move the needle past being two African American quarterbacks as being two quarterbacks. I know it's a momentous thing and all whatever else, but the hype of the game, oh, absolutely. I think, in my own personal opinion, I think this might be one of the best Super Bowls we've had probably in the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, when you're really going back and start thinking about the matchups of great Super Bowls, I know that the Seattle New England Patriots one that I watched with Tate over there in D.C., that one was pretty hyped. And I remember that the Atlanta Falcons and New England Patriots was hyped. And that's just because Atlanta choked up and blew it because they were smashing Brady. And then I think all the way back to even the Steelers and Arizona Cardinals Super Bowl, it was like off the hook. So as far as a high-scoring, high-powered, big action, big-time game, oh yeah, this is gonna drive it because the viewership's gonna be bananas. Just because it's two African American quarterbacks, playing football.
Yeah, Tate. What about you, man? How do you feel about this game overall, man? Do you feel like you feel the hype, you feel the intensity, or is it just kind of like, because even when I said, hey, Sunday on the last Know It All, you didn't even mention the Super Bowl. And I was like, do you not know that the Super Bowl is this weekend? Like, how do you feel about that, man? Talk to me.
Man, I didn't mention the Super Bowl. It's no need to mention the Super Bowl. When you a true sports fan, true football fan, you don't even got to talk about it. You just know what's coming. I'm going to be here at home watching. No Super Bowl parties, no extras, no nothing. Last time I had a Super Bowl party was in 2010. The Steelers lost to Green Bay. Then I had another one, I think 2 years later when San Francisco played Baltimore, the Harbaugh brothers Super Bowl. But, I never miss a Super Bowl. I like to look at the commercials. So, I'm just a fan, man. So there's no need to talk about it. I'm going to be locked in. Tomorrow at 6:30, I don't do none of the pregame, none of that stuff all day. 6:30, I'll be locked in for kickoff. That's it. But in regards to what G said, I kind of agree with him. It is just two quarterbacks. But anytime in the African-American experience in this United States of America, anytime there's a first, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to kind of acknowledge that. We acknowledged when Doug Williams was the first one to win it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
Sure.
then I don't know that there was another African American quarterback go back to the Super Bowl until Steve McNair went in like '99.
Yep.
About 12 years apart, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
So it is a big deal. Tony Dungy was the first African American coach to win one.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from Art Shell being the first African American coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, but anytime there's a first, you kind of got to acknowledge and say, hey, that's a big deal, because over the 450 years we've been here, we've gone through a lot. So each incremental step that we get something new, that's something that wasn't afforded to us, something that wasn't allowed to us, we make note of it.
Absolutely. And you got to celebrate history. So we've had a whole bunch of history happen this week. LBJ got the scoring title. That was history and historic. And then we seen, somebody who's been making history throughout, this last year. Deion has been so busy during this Super Bowl week, man. Everywhere you look, you got Deion Sanders. He's been on every podcast that you see. And definitely, I love the hype that's surrounding this Colorado program. I love the hype that's surrounding Deion. And then, of course, speaking of history, we got, people going into the Hall of Fame. And we talked about that briefly on what you guys would think. And Deion kind of gave his 2 cents on it and was saying that there should be an upper room. And, you guys, we talked about it, and y'all were like, the Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I mean, you have to understand something about the Hall of Fame, because and in just brief explanation, we're going to get to our game expectations here in a second, but a brief explanation. And Big G, tell me if I'm wrong. There's only so many spaces in the Hall of Fame. And then you have the old school guys. I forget what they call them. There's a old school committee that votes on people who were really, back in the day, and they bring them in and they make sure that they get representation every year as the class goes on. Right. So people were arguing. I seen an argument saying that, Antonio Brown should be a Hall of Famer. No. And I was saying to them, I said, man, y'all don't even understand that first and foremost, Antonio Brown, Torrey Holt ain't in the Hall of Fame yet. You know what I'm saying? And he way behind Torrey Holt now. So, I mean, there's only so many spots that you get. I mean, look at Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas should have been a second round Hall of Famer. Zach just now going in. This is his third time, maybe even his fourth. But Sean, tell me, it kind of explain to him real quick, Big G, how getting into the Hall of Fame is not just like this given, like, you were just electric, so you get in.
Right, correct. And I'm glad you pointed out the fact that there's the committee that talks about the players that played prior to 1975, because that number, the game that was played in the 70s is definitely not the game that we're seeing now in the 2023s, but even more so, the game is match rated. So when you start seeing these players with these inflated numbers and all whatever else, then you do a comparison of a player that played in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, it's not really fair. So you're talking about the body of work of a player. But the bottom line issue is the Hall of Fame players are less than 1%. Less than 1% of players that have actually played in the NFL make it to the Hall of Fame. So you're talking about, that's the elite of the elite. So like, you can make your all greatest 22. You could have your 75-year team, your 50-year team. You can have that. But within the context of the Hall, everybody that's in the Hall is beyond great. They are at the upper echelon, top 1% of guys that ever put on a helmet, ever strapped it up, and ever gave everything they actually had to be in the Hall. So you got to give homage about it. I mean, like I said, I know that there's some self-promotion that's going on with Prime, because he's at Colorado. He's trying to say, hey, look, I'm the guy. Come play for me. I'm a Hall of Fame. I'm first ballot, best player ever played defense. I get it. But the bottom line is, to me, if you make the Hall, you make the Hall, man. So kudos to you, because you belong on the mountain, the greatest players that ever played football, that ever walked the earth. So I give homage to anybody that makes it.
It's called a senior committee. I was wrong. It's called a senior committee. I was right.
Yeah.
Tate, and so G kind of spoke to it, but like with the Antonio Brown argument, first and foremost, I'm gonna let you comment on that, and then who do you think out of this new batch? Because we talked about it in our chat. Who do you think out of this new batch is actually going to be a first team Hall of Famer? But the Antonio Brown thing, can you speak to it? I mean, I kind of think Hines Ward gets in before Antonio Brown, but speak to it.
Hey man, I'm just gonna piggyback on a couple things. I'm gonna answer your question real quick. You in the open, you mentioned Dak catching all kind of grief. Dak catch grief because of Cowboy fans, though. That's why Dak get grief, because he got the star on the helmet. One, the biggest football team in the world, one of the biggest brands in the world, next to the soccer team in London, I think, in England.
Yeah,
Manchester United. Manchester United. Yeah, so it's both. Dak ain't as bad as people say he is, but he ain't as good as Cowboy fans think he is. So that's where that come from. The Deion thing, it's like G says, a whole bunch of self-promotion. Deion's a great, one of the all-time great cornerbacks, probably top cornerback. I still like Rod Woodson for mines at 1, Deion at 2, because Rod Woodson was a little more physical, but Deion was definitely the best cover corner ever and one of the fastest dudes to ever play the game. Yeah. So I respect him there, respect him as a coach, but he is doing a lot of self-promotion. It's all about recruiting up in the level of the Colorado program. I ain't seen him all week because I don't watch whatever you obviously saw. I'm not saying he ain't out there. I ain't seen him though.
Yeah, he's been on Colin Coward, I Speak. Whatchamacallit, Rich Eisen. He's been on everybody.
Okay,
yeah.
He was on First Take. He was on First Take too. Yeah,
but it's about what you watch when you watch. I seen Jerome Bettis on a couple of them same shows you talk about.
Yeah,
But the Antonio Brown and Torrey Holt thing, you brought that mention up. Antonio Brown, Hines Ward deserves it first and foremost. Hines Ward should have been there a few years back.
Correct.
1,000 receptions, Super Bowl MVP, couple Pro Bowl seasons. I don't mean all pros he got, because Hines Ward was never the best receiver in the game, but he played football the right way his entire career.
Correct.
Now, Antonio Brown, in comparison to Torrey Holt, Antonio Brown has 18 more receptions than Torrey Holt, 11 more touchdowns, and played a couple less years. And Antonio Brown, for 6 years, was the best receiver ever. We're talking him up there on par with Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Not Randy Moss, not T.O., not none of the other greats. Antonio Brown is the only one to be on par for a 6-year stretch with Jerry Rice. And we talked about LeBron and Jordan the other day, and you brought up that 11-year window for Jordan. So I know you got to understand, respect the windows.
Yeah.
So like Antonio Brown was the best in the world for 6-7 years straight. Yeah. So I mean, and now he a clown. AB is a clown. He say some foolish stuff. He might have the route that T.O. had to take to get into the Hall of Fame, but I think he will and should eventually get there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know, man. I mean, it's what I said. I don't know. When you still have people like, and you think about this, you still got people like Reggie Wayne who ain't went in. Big G pointed that out to me. You still got people like Andre Johnson who ain't went in. I don't know if he gets in. And he's had a heck of a run, man. I mean, his numbers are phenomenal.
There are a lot of great receivers. I think it's probably the easiest position to put numbers up, statistics up. But Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, they weren't ever the best receiver in the world for a 6-7 year stretch.
Correct.
The best in the game. We only talked about Antonio Brown and Julio Jones in their primes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna say it, and let it be spoke. If Brandon Marshall gets in, Antonio should be in. Period. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Brandon Marshall gets in the Hall of Fame because I don't expect him to. But if he gets in, Antonio should be in. Period.
Well, Brandon Marshall, Antonio Brown got to first officially retire to start the clock.
Right.
So we won't know if he is or isn't until that clock starts and 5 years is up. Then we see if he's on the ballot.
Yeah, And Brandon Marshall will never make the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you. I agree with you, G. I totally agree with you on
I'm looking at Brandon Marshall's stats.
Well, I'm looking at Brandon Marshall at 12,351 yards. Antonio Brown has 12,291 yards. So he's like
Brandon Marshall has 32 more receptions than AB, and they tied in touchdowns. But it looks like Brandon Marshall played for how long?
2006 to 2018, 12 years.
Yeah, and he played for 7 different teams, so nobody really wanted him. I mean, Antonio Brown, like who does Brandon Marshall go in as? I mean, I could argue his best. He blew up as a 4th round draft pick with the Broncos early on. That was with Jay Cutler, right? Yeah, Jay Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
Then arguably his next best year was in Chicago, and then
with Jay Cutler
again.
Yeah.
And after that, he's just a nomad trying to be a gun for hire, but never got the job done when he got hired.
And had inflated numbers because Jay Cutler was forcing the ball to Brandon Marshall. Jay Cutler, if you go back and look at his interception rate every season, was horrible. I know I sent Payday a thing about the Bears quarterback, and he said when he got to Jay Cutler, he just had to turn the film off, man, because he couldn't take looking at it anymore. Because he's had a lifetime of misery at quarterback in Chicago.
He does have an NFL record for receptions in the game at 21.
Yeah. So you guys, out of
but I'm sorry, I didn't finish the question. On this year's ballot,
yeah, there you go.
I said Julius Peppers, I believe, is the first ballot Hall of Famer.
He didn't get in though, did he? He didn't get in. He didn't get the knock.
No. They're eligible this year.
Right.
They wasn't on the ballot for last year. They're eligible this year.
Okay.
So I got Julius Peppers, and potentially Andrew Luck. Mine got me thinking a lot about Antonio Gates. I couldn't see that, but Julius Peppers is the only definite one that I know.
First ballot.
Ballot. That's what I mean.
First ballot.
I would say for sure Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers actually, believe it or not, changed the game because he was I'm not talking about the freak Javon Curse, right? Javon Curse was something that the NFL had never seen before. But when you had a super 6'6", 280-pound defensive end running a sub 4.5 from sideline to sideline, you couldn't get away from him. He dominated football for like at least a 4-year window. Julius Peppers was the most dominant defensive player we had in the league. You couldn't run at him, and you couldn't run away from him. So that's why I got to get.
That's the key, yeah. And then he was a basketball player, moonlighting as a football player. I mean, for real. You know what I'm saying? My mind, Antonio Gates, Julius, they're first rounders. I don't know if Andrew Luck has done enough to get in, man. I don't know if Andrew Luck's done enough to get in.
I don't think he deserves it.
Yeah.
I don't think Andrew Luck deserves it. I mean, when you start talking in the grand scheme of things, what did he actually do?
I mean, he retired way too early. He had to, but he retired way too early. I get it. I totally get it. I get it without a shadow of a doubt. But out of the other names, I'm checking the list here in our chat. Out of the other names, I think Jamal Charles may make it on his third or fourth time. Doug Baldwin, I think, has no chance. Jordy Nelson has no chance for me. Connor Baldwin, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Maybe?
No. No.
Sebastian Janikowski, I think so. Probably like 2 or 3. Not in his first year. And Eric Berry, I think he's like Andrew Luck. He was hurt so much. I don't think he goes in. If he'd have had, a full career, I think he may make it. But that's pretty much all I see. Now let's get to the game. Tate, did you have some?
Yeah, Andrew Luck was played for 7 years. He has the record for most passing yards by a rookie, 4,300 and something. He averaged his winning record was 53-33. He turned around a middling Colts franchise because they was coming off having lost Peyton Manning for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So he turned them back around, made them playoff contenders, and he averaged roughly 3,700 yards and 25 touchdowns a year for his career. So I mean,
I got a question. Did he ever play in an AFC title game? Ever? I don't remember. I don't remember Andrew Luck playing an AFC title.
And as far as tutties is concerned, he had 116 tutties. I don't know if that's enough. If the most touchdowns by a tight end, I'd have to really research that. But I do know he has 116 tight ends. 116 touchdowns.
Who are you talking about now?
Antonio Gates.
Thomas said no. Gronkowski is the number one tight end, man. I mean, it ain't even close.
Kelsey passing by now.
I think Kelsey's gonna pass all of them.
Well, Kelsey already did it. Gronk, Gronk, Gonzalez, and then Gates. I think that's the order. It goes Kels 1, Gronk 2, Gonzalez 3, and then Gates 4. I'm pretty sure that's the order.
I don't know. Check that out.
Just in receptions
and touchdowns.
Touchdowns. Yeah, I think
check that out for me, Tate. But while Tate is kind of doing that research right there, man, we're gonna jump into the game, man. The game itself is being played this Sunday. Big G, talk to me, man. Give me your synopsis about what you think's fits to happen this weekend.
The Eagles gonna smash them. It ain't even gonna be close. The Eagles have the best 53-man roster in football. The Eagles are going to be able to put pressure on Pat Mahomes with 4 guys. They rotate 8 defensive linemen. They probably have the deepest defensive line rotation in all of football. They got guys like Ndamukong Suh and Jordy Davis sitting on the bench, and they bring those guys in along with Graham. So they're going to rotate 8. They're going to stay fresh. They're going to keep everything in front of him. They'll see a seam route every now and then, and you might see a little bit magic by Mahomes, right? But they're going to smash them. And like I've been saying all along, they have no answer when the Eagles go RPO. You got Christian Jones, who weighs 300-something pounds, playing defensive end. It's a mammoth of a man, right? So now they might go Karlaftis with Purdue, the kid from Purdue, the rookie, and Clark and the other defensive ends to try to stay athletic for that RPO. But it's just that you get hit in the middle so long, you just can't take it. It's almost like chipping at a big ice block. You just keep cracking it and cracking it and cracking it. And eventually you're going to crack it. And that's how they're going to play the whole game. And there's no way in the world, because I think the how Philadelphia's going to win, they're going to run that ball. But how they're really going to win is Jalen's going to kill them DBs from Kansas City. They're a bunch of little kids back there. I think 3 out of the 4 starters are rookies, and you got to go up against Smith, Quez Watkins, and Brown, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert. Barbecue chicken meat, dog. Give me the Eagles by 10 over the Kansas City Chiefs, man.
Eagles by 10. Tom said Gates had 116, Gronk had 93. What'd you find, Tate?
Thomas is correct. Gates is 116. Gonzalez is 111. Gronk is 92. Then Jimmy Graham is in there at 85. Then Mod, your boy in there. Tell me who it is.
Jason Witten.
Jason Witten is number 5 with 74. Kels got 72 right now.
Yeah, he's coming.
And I want to say this publicly too. I don't hate on all the Cowboys, because Jason Witten was a dog.
Sweet.
I don't care what nobody say. Witten was a monster.
Sweet T said, put some respect on Shannon Sharp name.
Respect on Shannon Sharp.
Yeah. So after Kels Witten, then it's Vernon Davis with 63. Shannon Sharp got 61.
Yeah.
Man, the tight end position came a long way, man, because Ozzie Newsome not even on this list, and he one of the all-time greats.
Nope.
Yeah.
Ozzie Newsome scored 47 touchdowns.
Yeah. And was killing it back then. In the 80s, at that time, for a tight end to get those yards, receptions, and touchdowns, killing it.
I always put Kellen Winslow up there high on the list. He only got 45. Heath Miller, our Steeler, only got 45.
Yeah.
The tight end position has really evolved over the last 30 years.
And so my take on this game, man, it's different than G's. You know what I'm saying? And
well. Can I get mine real quick? Since mine kind of the same as G, so I'll be fast.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm picking the Eagles to take the game. I just believe from coast to coast through this whole season, the Eagles have been the best team throughout the entire season, coast to coast. I mean, their defensive line, best in the league. Their offensive line, best in the league. Their three receivers, 11 personnel, probably top 5 in the league with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins. And then you throw Goddard in there. You throw in sprinkling some Miles Sanders at running back or Gainwell. With the best line with Jalen Hurts and that ability to run that RPO and hand it off or pull the ball or pull it out and throw a play action pass. I mean, I don't think Kansas City defense is – I think the Eagles defense is going to do better against Mahomes. Mahomes going to get his than the Kansas City defense is going to do against the Eagles defense. So because of that, I got the Eagles winning this game. I'm going to say I got the Eagles probably winning 27-17.
A 10-point game. I feel you, bro. I like that pick of the 10-point game.
I hear that. So like I said, my take is a little different. I think I totally agree with I totally agree. And after this, G, you can read the Facebook comments before we wrap up. I totally agree with you guys, and especially what Tate said, from wire to wire. I mean, you can't argue. They've been one of the best teams, if not the best team in football. Certain things that I see that's different. I kind of agree with Ayuk and Debo, the fact that, when it comes down to it, defensively, their defensive backs a little suspect outside of what's my guy? Not Slade, but the other guy,
Bradbury.
Outside of Bradbury, the boys have been had. They've been had. The 2 losses that Philadelphia had were to who? One was to the Cowboys. The other one was to who?
The Commanders.
Yeah, they had more than 2. They had more than 2 for the season.
Yeah, they had 3 losses, but only one of them was Jalen Hurts.
Right, correct.
Yeah. So my point here is in each one of them, they got torched. And let's even go. Let's look at the quarterbacks that torched them. The ones that really got him was Dak, your boy down there, Jacksonville, who y'all love, Trevor Lawrence. Their defensive backs can be had. Now their line is stupid. I mean, how you get 80 sacks, over 80 sacks in one season? I mean, that's just Big G hit it. I mean, you can call the names, you keep going. It's name after name after name. But man, if there's any quarterback who, who's a top quarterback, better than the quarterbacks that actually roasted their secondary this year, it's Mahomes. And he does. I mean, of course, they had a bug. A lot of them got sick this week. So that's a big thing. That's a factor. Because if you ain't healthy and ready to go, hey man, that could cause the door to swing in Philadelphia's way. But all things considered, if these guys are healthy, ready to go, I think Mahomes beat him, and I think he beats him with a walk-off 3.
Tate, what you talking about? You got your hand raised like we in a classroom. Go
ahead.
I
don't want to interrupt. I want to comment on what he said. Trevor Lawrence, 174 and 2 touchdowns is roasting. That's what it was.
He put 2 touchdowns on him. But what was Dak? What did Dak have on him? Over 300, right?
Dak had 318 and 4 tubs.
Mm-hmm. Now Dak killed him. But that was a shootout game. Matter of fact, that game came down to the last person. And Gunnar Minshew was playing quarterback, and it came down to the last person with the ball. So Philadelphia at any time can get 35
how many yards? I'm curious. Check this out for me too. How many yards did Andy Dalton have after those 3 picks? He gave him 3, but how many yards did he have after that? Because I mean, as I'm thinking, the secondary, I agree with Ayuk. I agree with Debo. Their secondary can't be had. That's the weakest place on their defense. Their line is strong.
That was New Orleans. I don't see where they played New Orleans.
No, he's talking about Philadelphia.
Andy Dalton. Yeah, you're right. What's my name? What's my boy name? The backup quarterback for the Cowboys. I forgot his name. First Cowboy meeting. How many yards did he have passing?
The backup quarterback for Dallas.
Yes.
I don't think he had 300. He didn't kill it.
No, I think he had 2. I don't think he had 3.
Philadelphia
but I think
smoked them. Philadelphia smoked Dallas.
He threw for that was the second game. This is the first game with Dallas,
first
right?
game, yeah.
They came back, but it was
they
ugly.
came back, but it was
ugly.
It got ugly because he threw 3. He gave him 3 picks.
Well,
he was like, "Here you go."
The issue was, and then I think that the Philadelphia Eagles. See, I got to make this point too. The Eagles coaches staff has grown just like the team has grown.
Sirianni.
Because the Sirianni, when he didn't know, he didn't get it, and it took him to get lumped a couple of times or make some bad decisions for him to see. The first one was against Dallas. You can't play the first time they played the Cowboys. You can't play and start getting conservative and expect in the NFL that these pro players ain't gonna come back and smash you, right? So he started just saying, "Oh, we're just gonna run the ball and run the clock out." It don't work like that in the league, bro. So he learned his lesson quick with them lumps. The second lesson that he learned is that you cannot go totally away from the pass game. You can't RPO because that's what he did against Dallas because he wanted Minshew. He didn't want Minshew the second time. He didn't want Minshew to work that magic. So he was like, "Well, I'm gonna try to protect him and all." No, man, you got to play football, bro. When it says 0-0-0-0-4, that's when you stop playing. You don't stop till then. So I hope he doesn't get in this game and get up by 10 and then go conservative. No, man, you mash the gas, man. You don't stop till the game's over.
I agree. I agree, Big G, man. I think you're right. And I hope, like I said, I want to see it be competitive. I definitely want to see it be competitive. Shouts out to our Facebook comments. He was
181 and 1 touchdown. Cooper Rush threw against Philly.
Three interceptions, right?
1 TD, 3 interceptions. Yeah, 37.3 passer rating.
Jay Steed said he's not impressed with Andrew Luck. And he said Andrew Luck hadn't did anything, and Torrey Holt had shared catches with Isaac Bruce.
Agreed.
Again, Torrey Holt's going into the Hall of Fame. Period. Point blank.
Reggie Wayne too.
The quarterback, their quarterbacks have to go first. It's a part of.
Hey, on YouTube, Sweet T, Lamar Thomas said, "Don't forget about Mark Bavaro. Bavaro was a beast. Anytime you got an unstoppable play on Tecmo Bowl, he was a beast."
It was cheap. Him and Bo Jackson.
But you guys, man, we up on the time, man, and we definitely got our predictions in. I hope you guys spend time with your family. Of course, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the show. Go ahead, Tate.
Oh, I didn't know I thought we were doing it today because we weren't doing it tomorrow. But we'll talk about that. But real quick, just before you go, one trade in the NBA to happen for each of y'all, because we said we talk about trades. So one trade, pick one that you think is going to render some difference making as we go on in the NBA season into the playoffs.
Can we all agree that the one is?
You can leave Kevin Durant out of here.
KD, Phoenix. It's gonna be Phoenix and Denver in the West. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it. They might as well go ahead and pencil them boys in there. Get ready for that 7 game. As long as there's no injury.
Minus Kevin Durant trade. We all know that's going to be a huge difference.
I think Kyrie and Luka look good. I think they haven't played together yet, but Kyrie fits in what the Mavericks do, and I think that's a good one.
I think some sneaky trades. There was a multitude of them, but sneaky
one trade, Big G. One trade.
No, I'm talking about there was a multitude with one team. The LA Clippers. When they got guards, they got Eric Gordon over there. They got Eric Gordon. They got shooters. They got guards now.
They got Eric Gordon. They got Bones Highland.
Yes,
from Denver. He was a big part of Denver's bench, man.
Correct.
And they got Miles Plumlee, the Plumlee boy for backup center. I like what the Clippers did to piggyback on what you just agreeing with that. But some of the prognosticators nationally and basketball heads talking about they traded all their point guards. Well, if Russ decided to go there, he's not a true point guard, but he's gonna just give more firepower to him, and he's gonna be on a revenge tour.
Yeah.
But my one trade, the team that won the championship 2 years ago has got on an 11-game winning streak right now.
Oh yeah,
is Milwaukee Bucks and
Jay Crowder.
And think about Jay Crowder. The year they won the championship, they had PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
Jay Crowder is that PJ Tucker type piece that they missed last year. That toughness, that 3-point shooting, that 3-and-D player. They come with attitude.
Yeah.
And he from Georgia, but he going back home to Milwaukee because he went to college at Marquette.
Yeah.
He put out a tweet. He hyped to be going to Milwaukee. So that's the one that I like. That I think is going to be a difference maker.
Yeah.
That's a good one, man. We like to thank you guys for rocking with us, man. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. So that when we go live, you'll definitely be able to get those notifications. For myself, for G and for Tate, we will holler at you boys later. Man, thank you guys for rocking with us, and we hope y'all have a good Super Bowl experience. Peace.